on the topic of the grass
is greener on the other side.
is greener on the other side. So for a period of 10 minutes, with a warning at 9, please welcome Steph.
Based off this image here, you would think that it's a off-cut piece of land that council has failed to maintain, but really it's just the early stages of my cousin's front yard. It represents months upon months of no dedication nor service. There was no such thing as weed control, hand watering. The dog litter was left to fester because it was such a major inconvenience to pick up. Dare I ask, what motivated this individual to get up in the morning? On the other side of the fence is my cousin's neighbour, Jimmy. Jimmy seems like a happy ex-veteran that loves to spend his time in the front garden. You can see him often cutting and carving his Garden of Eden. Jimmy seems to enjoy himself and likes the simple, secluded life. Based on those two images, it's reasonable to assume that the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, right? Let's just press pause on Jimmy for the time being and focus on my cousin, Lucenzo. Lucenzo comes from a very traditional European upbringing. His mum and dad came via boat in the early 70s to chase the Australian dream. The dad was a concreter and the mum sold biscuits from home to get them through everyday life. They were far from what was considered normal and they loved to challenge the status quo. For example, think of school lunchboxes. One would typically find in an Aussie lunchbox a Vegemite sandwich, chips, chocolate, maybe a pop top. What did Lucenzo have, might you ask? Well, he had a big, fresh bowl of homemade pasta, sun-dried tomatoes dipped in olive oil, and if he was lucky, he got a small Chinook drink to wash it all down. How good was that? This unorthodox way of living transcended into how the house was maintained. As you can see from the parents' property, there was not one bit of greenery, not one bit of grass, not one bit of life. The concrete covers wherever the eye can see. The statues are hand-carved and paid in full with cash. The red bricks and the oblique veranda center the house in a way that screams originality. For 27 long years, this was the gold standard up until he turned 30 and decided to move into his own property. 30 is an interesting milestone. Amongst having to concede to life's demands, there is a internal dialogue where we question ourselves in what we have done in life so far. Is it acceptable? And is there anything that we can do in terms of activities or hobbies to complement that midlife crisis to make life that bit more bearable? A popular marketing company completed a study back in 2017, and the purpose of that study was to find out what hobbies middle-aged men were into so they could skew their marketing campaigns to reflect that activity and hopefully go on to receive a better return on investment. 100 men between the ages of 25 and 35 were selected, and they were given a comprehensive list of activities that they had to choose from where they thought they would like to do. Out of the hundreds of activities that range from rock climbing, fishing, camping, there was 3 repeat offenders. They were meat smoking, professional golf, and last but not least, lawn care. And so Lucenzo, as a brand new homeowner who's never experienced the lavishes of lawn and green life, naturally gravitated towards the lawn. And for months, he immersed himself and studied the ancient ways of how to cut his own grass. He read the latest lawn literature. He bought every brand of Bunnings fertilizer that was on offer. And he would stay up late and watch repeat episodes of Burke's Backyard. There was so much passion and enthusiasm to turn that dodgy front yard into something special that unconsciously, in that process, he got himself into a bit of a turf war with his neighbour Jimmy. Cue the Eye of the Tiger soundtrack. What started off as a friendly bit of competition between the two rapidly developed into an unhealthy obsession. When Jimmy cut his lawn, Lucenzo would have to do the same. When Lucenzo reseeded, Jimmy would follow shortly after. When Jimmy installed I-25 sprinkler heads, Lucenzo would have to install I-30 sprinkler heads. When Lucenzo brought a brand new lawnmower, Jimmy would have to buy the next one up. And so forth and so forth. There were times where they got on really well and they shared a few crisp bevies over the freshly cut lawn. But there were also some pretty tense moments. I can neither confirm nor deny that Jimmy would accidentally throw seeds onto Lucenzo's lawn, or Lucenzo would accidentally forget to pick up the dog litter on Jimmy's lawn. I would be on the receiving end on hearing the latest conspiracy theories of how that no good Jimmy was up to and how he's trying to sabotage Lucenzo's fresh, beautiful lawn. But being family, I kept my mouth shut. Despite the jealousy, it was assumed that this rivalry would go on until day's end. That was until one day, Jimmy was nowhere to be found. And when pressed further on investigation, it was found that Jimmy had passed away. Behind closed doors, Jimmy had been suffering from post-traumatic stress disorders. And it was reported that the emotional turmoil reached its threshold to the point where Jimmy decided to take his own life. Was the grass really greener on the other side of the fence? Despite the 101 useful tips on how to not piss off your neighbour, there is an underlying message that we can take away from this story. And that is that we should never, ever judge a book by its cover. When we see someone, such as our neighbour, who's maybe seamlessly succeeded in what we maybe have tried and failed, it's only natural that feelings of jealousy and self-doubt materialise within ourselves. But here's the thing, humans are really good at hiding their true colours, and we may never really know what's going on behind the superficial surface. They could be dealing with mental health conditions, they could be going through financial hardships, family emergencies. We will never really know. And the grass that we perceive to be greener on the other side, may not appear what it seems. It's important to acknowledge no matter what we're going through, the hardships that we're facing, that we remain kind and we treat everyone, including our neighbour, with the respect and dignity that is deserved. So let me leave you with 3 everlasting words that you can take on your travels and in your interactions with humans, wherever that may be. Live, laugh, and lawn.